Another big story today, DeKalb County reports its first case of highly contagious measles in more than half a decade. A public health official says the health department's working to protect the community.
WIFR's Nathaniel Langley learns how the disease kickstarts regional collaboration.
How has today been for you?
It has been a little stressful, but we are working our way through it.
The DeKalb County Health Department confirmed its first case of measles for 2026 Thursday.
Whenever there is a case like this, it makes things very interesting.
What are some of the concerns? What are some of the risks that measles can bring?
Measles is very contagious, and so we get concerned when there is a positive case.
Public Health Administrator Lisa Gonzalez says DeKalb last saw a reported measles case in 2019.
But the good news is that if people are fully vaccinated, the vaccine is 97% effective.
So far in 2026, the U.S. has seen about 1,300 instances of the disease. Illinois makes up 3 of those diagnoses.
When there are contacts that spread across the region or across multiple jurisdictions, there's a high level of collaboration.
The county lists 2 possible exposure sites for its incident: DeKalb's Walmart on March 2nd and the post office on March 9th.
We do include the full time frame of which someone may have been exposed.
What should folks, they see that they maybe visited those spots, what should they do next?
Determining what their vaccine status is an important first step. They also should monitor for symptoms.
Gonzalez says her department will work with regional partners to keep Illinoisans safe.
When a case like measles shows up in a county, we are well prepared.
In DeKalb, Nathaniel Langley, WIFR News.
Gonzalez added anyone can check their vaccination status in 2 ways: either VaxVerify through the Illinois Department of Public Health or ask for your high school records.